the others would do to you, do also to them. This is not brand new, by the way. And what I mean by not brand new, I'm saying that there are things that the Bible said, that God said, Jesus said, that were for the very first time said in the Bible, and then people used them and made them famous later, and other people attribute them to other people instead of the Bible. For example, a house divided cannot stand. You've heard that, yeah? And that's Abe Lincoln, except that it's not Abe Lincoln. Abe Lincoln was quoting the Bible when he said it. And we see it in context, and that's the truth. However, in this case, people had said this before Jesus said it. You say, well, then why is it important that Jesus said it? Because the way Jesus says it is different than the way anybody had ever said it before. Okay, Matt, you're losing me into confusion. All right, stay with me. This is good. I like this. About AD 20, there was a Jewish rabbi, Rabbi Hillel, who was challenged by a Gentile to summarize the entire law in the short time that the Gentile could stand on one leg. And this is what he responded with the whole law. This is what the rabbi said. He said, what is hateful to you, do not do to anyone else. This is the whole law. All the rest is commentary. Go and learn it. The rabbi said, and that's good advice. And that is the law. There's a little difference in how the rabbi puts it, how Jesus puts it. Okay? Both are correct. Both are good. However, the way that we use it today is the way that Jesus responded with it. Now, why is it important? Well, what is hateful to you, do not do to anyone else. Whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also to them. Little difference. Do you see it? Mm-hmm. Does anybody see the difference? Okay, here's the deal. Jesus changes it up. He says, whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also to them. He is taking what has already been said. Every time this phrase had been used, it had always been used in the negative. What I mean by that, I don't mean that they were trying to pull people down. They were just saying, don't do this. So if you don't want somebody to do something to you, don't do it to them. And again, that's correct. That's absolutely correct. However, Jesus changes that, and he changes it to the positive. Now, why would that matter? Because the law is being focused on when you talk about the negative. Going beyond the law is what Jesus is saying. He's saying, keep the law, absolutely, but go further. Go further. And so, here's a good example. This is the best, this is an example, and it's the best example, but it's an example. You guys drove to church today, most of you. Okay, I had a long commute too. I walked 500 feet. But for those who drove to church today, I trust that you all stayed within the speed limit. All right, well, I'll trust it anyway. As you came to church, if you saw someone on the side of the road, let's say you saw a young mother by herself, and the tire was out, and she was, it's a flat tire, and she's standing over it, and let's say you were on Interstate 81, for example, and you see that happening on the side of the road. There is a law to follow in that time. The law says that you either have to slow down or get over so that you don't hit anything going on the side of the road there. That's the law. That is obeying the law. Now, is that as far as you could go? Mm-mm. What else could you do?
You could stop and help.
Yeah, you can stop. Now, if you don't stop, then you're still obeying the law. However, Jesus says, go a little further. Go a little further, okay? It's not just about keeping the law. It's about going further than what the law is saying. So stop, okay? Trust everybody else is going to follow the law and not barrel you down on 81 if you want. But stop and go a little further. Go a little further. Help those that need it. So the law says, don't do bad things to other people, and they won't do bad things to you, or you'll trust they won't do bad things to you. Jesus says, do good to everyone, and trust that they're going to do good in return. Now, this is the beauty of the Bible as a whole. Is everyone always going to do good to you if you do good to them?
No.
Doesn't matter.
Nope.
No, it doesn't. Listen to y'all. Y'all are such good Christians today. I said, doesn't matter. And you're like, no, it doesn't matter. I'm just happy in Jesus all the time. No, you're not. But that's okay too. That's all right. No big deal, because we all struggle. All right. In Sunday school, we talk about long suffering. Suffering long. Okay. And that's fine. No big deal. No big deal. Here is the big deal. If we are taking the initiative to be proactive about being good to people, it is going to make us, I'd like to say, it's going to make us look really good to the world. It's going to make us look like weirdos, okay? And that's okay. because being a Christian is being a weirdo, and that's fine too, if you're doing it right. Okay, if you're doing it right. And not everybody's doing it right. And you say, well, who are you to judge who's doing it right? I'm telling you as a man who often does it wrong. Okay? We should look weird to the world. And what I mean by that is, when the rest of the world is struggling and they're being negative and they're complaining, we ought to find where God's purpose is in it. And if we're not finding God's purpose in it, we need to examine where our own walk with Jesus Christ is. Okay? Jesus said that we are going to do right to people and that we're going to trust that they will return it. The law says, what is hateful to you, don't do it to anybody. Jesus switches it up. One is reactive, the other is proactive, okay? And that's the difference here. I don't want my neighbor to kill me, so I won't kill them. Reactive. Proactive says, I want my neighbor to love me, so I'm going to love them. You don't have to worry about the killing part if you're loving them correctly, all right? The law's going to follow, all right? But we're not going to do just enough. Question. I always say question, and people get this look on their face like, I ain't answering this. Listen, you don't have to answer now, that's fine. The gospel of Jesus Christ, is it reactive or is it proactive? Let's look, all right? It's not one of those things you have to worry about being wrong on. I'm going to give you the answer. It's an open book. Here it is. John 3:16. For God so what? Love. Nailed it. The world that he what? Gave. There's another verb. His only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life. So we get a couple of things there. We get God so loved the world that he gave his only Son. Was God reactive or proactive? He was proactive. Look at Romans 5:8. God what? Shows his love for us, and that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Is the work of Jesus Christ reactive or proactive? It's proactive. And I know what you say, Pastor Matt, if Adam wouldn't have sinned, if Adam and Eve wouldn't have jumped it all up in the Garden of Eden, there'd be no, it is reactive. They're reacting to the sin that Adam and Eve partook in. Hold up a minute, because my Bible teaches me that the work of Jesus Christ was established before the foundation of the world, according to Ephesians chapter 2. So if that's true, then before Adam and Eve, the work of Jesus Christ was set up. You say, how on earth could the creator of the universe understand that we were going to sin and that we were going to need the work of Jesus Christ before the foundation of the world? The answer to the question, he is the creator of everything. Okay? I had a hand in creating my son Matthew, all right? I had a hand in it, all right? And this guy right here is a fairly good child. However, sometimes he isn't such a great child. Sometimes he makes mistakes. Do you make mistakes? Okay, a little bit of a nod there. All right. But guess what? We all do. Now, the difference between Matthew's mistakes and, let's say, Jane Neighbor's mistakes, okay? And Jane's just in my eye line. There it is. The difference between their two mistakes is that before Jane messes up, I might not know what's going to happen. Okay? She could mess up, and I go, oh, I can't believe Jane did that. Okay? That can happen. Very few times will Matthew mess up, and I go, oh, I can't believe Matthew did that. More often than not, it's like, oh boy, I saw that coming. Why? Because his name's Matthew, and he is a little me. I know, okay, that his struggles are going to be things similar to what I've struggled with, okay? So when he struggles, it doesn't catch me usually by very much surprise, all right? And I realize that sometimes it will. And those are the ones that shock you, isn't it, parents? Those are the ones that really shake you to your frame when they surprise you. But most of the time, they don't. That is the relationship God has with us. We cannot shock God with our sin because he is aware that we are sinners. Mm-hmm. He already knows. He already knows. It's weird to run from God because he already knows you messed up. It's weird for Adam to run around and hide from God. God said, where are you at, Adam? Did he have to? No, he didn't have to. He knew where he was, and he knew where Adam was hiding. But he still said, where are you at, Adam? Why? Because he wanted Adam to confess his sin. Okay? When Matthew messes up, I just look at him and be like, I can do that. But when I talk to him about it, I'm not only growing our relationship, I'm growing him as a human being. And that's the goal, is to grow my son as a human being, all right? To make sure he doesn't turn out awful, okay? And do y'all know some awful adults? Don't answer that, you're good Christian people. We're long-suffering, okay? However, sometimes you feel like some people should have done a little better in the raising, all right? And here's the deal. We can do our part. We can be proactive, just like the gospel calls for. Proactive. Romans 5:8, God showed his love for us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us, even though we're sinners. All right? It's mixed up, but it's fine. Paul goes on to talk about it. He says in Romans chapter 7, here's what Paul says in verse 18. He says, "For I know that nothing good dwells in me, that is, in my flesh. For I have the desire." Now check this. Oh boy, this verse, when I read this next part, I was like, oh, busted. All right, check it out. "For I have the desire to do what is right, but not the ability to carry it out." Mm-hmm. Woo! Come on. That's good. Verse 19. "For I do not do the good I want, but the evil I do not want is what I keep on doing." Yep. Man, me and Paul, right there, man, because that is tough. Especially when I read that. Now, I went looking for 19. I said, I know that we got Romans 7, 19. We want to share that whole, I don't do the things I want to do, I do the things I hate. That's what I wanted to share with you. So I go to Romans chapter 7, and I'm like, I just need this one verse. And Jesus said, no, Matt, you need the verse before it. And that's what he said. "I know that nothing good dwells in me, that is, in my flesh, for I have the desire to do what is right, but not the ability to carry it out." Nailed me, okay? I have the desire to do what is right, but not the ability. Not the ability to carry it out. I don't do the good I want, I do the evil, and that's where it's at. We're all mixed up, church. We're not proactive. We're not proactive. We're not chasing to do the good. We're reacting when we do the bad. We're reacting when we do the bad. And that's difficult. Paul knew it was about doing what was right, not reacting to what was wrong. We got to change it. We have to have a desire to do what is right. And I know that we can have that desire, not the ability. If it were the other way around, now stay with me on this because I got to thinking about this too. If it were the other way around, maybe we could just not do bad to people. Instead of trying to do good, let's just not do bad. Can I meet you halfway, God? Can there be a compromise with this, Jesus? Instead of loving Chris, I just won't hit him today. All right, best I can. That's all I can promise to. Allison's with me. Best we can cop to today. Okay, church. Instead of trying to do good, let's just try not to do bad. Well, see, there's a problem with that though. I'd like that to be the way, but that's not what the Bible teaches. Okay, that's not you say show it, prove it. Okay, here it is. Matthew chapter 25. Check out what Jesus says in Matthew 25. He says, "When the Son of Man comes in his glory," so he's talking about the end of everything. "When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, he's going to sit on the glorious throne." Verse 32, "Before him there will be gathered all nations," so everybody's there, "and he's going to separate people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats." So we have sheep, we have goats. Verse 33, "And he will place the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king's going to say to those on his right," God the Father is going to say, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world." Jesus is speaking. Verse 35. Now check it out. Now you might know this verse. "For I was hungry, you gave me food. I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was a stranger, you welcomed me. I was naked, you clothed me. I was sick, you visited me. I was in prison, you came to me." Then the righteous will answer him, saying, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you a drink? When did we see you a stranger and welcome you, or naked and clothe you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and visit you?" When did that happen? What does he say? Verse 40. The king's going to answer him. He said, "Truly, I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these, my brothers, you did it to me." Then he's going to say to those on the left. Now, that's usually where it ends. And we're like, yeah, I do good. Wait a minute, because there are goats too. This is where it becomes a problem. It's not just enough to not hurt people. We have to do good. Verse number 41. He's going to say to those on the left, "Depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, you gave me no food. I was thirsty, you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, you did not welcome me. Naked, you did not clothe me. Sick and in prison, you did not visit me." Then they're also going to answer. They're going to say, "Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, or stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and didn't minister to you?" Verse 45. Then he's going to answer them, saying, "Truly I say to you, as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me. And these will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life." Whew! Here's the problem. The goats on the left, the ones that go into punishment, they didn't do anything wrong. However, they also didn't do anything. And that's the problem. Can we talk a little conviction this morning? That it is one thing to say, I'm not going to do harm to anyone. That it is another thing to say, I'm going to go out of my way to do good. How many of us are goats? How many of us are goats? James 4:17. Whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him is what? Sin. Boy, I used to nail that verse every week when I started here. Why? Because God, you know why? Okay, I thought about this. I put this verse in here. I felt like God was leading me to drop this verse in. And I said, oh boy, I haven't even used that verse in a while. God, what's going on? I got to thinking about this verse. Because if you hadn't been here for very long, 5 years ago I became the pastor of Glenver, and it seemed like every week God was dropping in this verse from James. You know the right thing to do, you don't do it, it's sin. And I thought, why on earth is this happening? And here's why it was happening. Because God was setting up a foundation for this church to be a working church. That we would not just sit back as a fortress and keep all the people we don't want out and everybody inside nice and comfy. That we would become uncomfortable on the inside so that we would get out and do the work outside. So that when you come in and you sit in the ugly red pews and they're uncomfortable and some of them are kind of tearing and you look around and say, boy, look at these curtains from 1970 or so. You say, oh boy, what a mess. I don't want you to stay. I don't want you to stay. I want you to get in here, be made uncomfortable by God, and then get out and go and do work out there. Why? Because we're not going to just do good in these four walls. Yep. We need to do good out of here. Amen. So many people will go to church and do good to each other in church and then leave and do nothing to anybody else. Mm-hmm. Let's leave and do good. And do good. Whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, it is a sin. It's a sin. I love this because I think there are so many Christians that think a sin is doing the wrong thing. And that's just not what the Bible teaches. The Bible teaches sin isn't about doing the wrong thing. It's about knowing the right thing, failing it. Mm-hmm. Failing it. Anybody failing at doing the right thing today? I have. How important is it to do the right thing according to this set of verses? Look at how Matthew chapter 7, how Jesus ends it. He says, for this is the law and the prophets. The law and the prophets, I feel like I have seen that phrase before from Jesus. Does that sound familiar to you? It sounds familiar to me. How about another famous verse I like to use a lot? Matthew chapter 22, verses 36 through 40. Check it out. Here come the Pharisees, and they say, teacher, what is the great commandment of the law? Now, let me set it up. Little context. Don't read ahead now. Don't look. Okay. Little context. Jesus is approached by Sadducees, these attorneys of the law, and they're trying to trip him up a little bit. And Jesus is able to kind of put that to bed. They're asking him about marriage and heaven and a lot of other little technical things, and Jesus is answering them theologically. And so then here come the Pharisees, and they say, all right, we got it. Teacher, what is the great commandment of the law? Give me the best. Because the thought is, if Jesus just picks one out of the rest, then he's blaspheming the entire law. Okay, so we're going to get him. Verse 37, he said to them, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. Yeah? Verse 38, this is the great and first commandment. Verse 39, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Now stop there for a second. Don't read ahead. Y'all already going to 40. Wait a minute. You know what's cool is what happened to the Pharisees happens to all of us when we try to box Jesus in. He busts out. What did they say? Pharisees said, give us the one. What did Jesus say? Tell me. Bet. I'll give you two. That's what he did. He went further. Never box Jesus in on what he can do in your life. Okay? He wants to go further. He wants to go further. All right, so he says, number one, love God with everything. Number two, love your neighbor as yourself. Verse 40, I know you've been dying to get to it. Here we are. On these two commandments depend what? All the law and the prophets. But wait a minute, Jesus. Didn't you just say over here in Matthew 7, for this is the law and the prophets? Yep. You know why he can say it in Matthew chapter 22 and why he can say it in Matthew chapter 7? Because it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. Why did Jesus feel like he had to repeat himself Because he was talking to a people that needed repeating. It's in multiple places in the Bible because he was hoping that on the off chance that you happen to crack your Bible open on your own, that you might trip upon all the law and the prophets. That when you say, I don't know what to read today, let me flip it open and drop a finger, that there was a greater chance that you might land on how to treat people. And there it is. Matthew chapter 22, it's there. Matthew chapter 7, it is there. Ephesians chapter 6, you will find it there. John chapter 3, you'll see it again. Galatians chapter 4, you find it again. Romans chapter 12, it's there. You cannot escape the law and the prophets, and that is that you would do good to people no matter what. That Jesus would say, here's how they're going to know your mind, by your love. And the opposite is true. That if you don't have love, you don't belong to me. Mm-hmm. 1 John chapter 4, verses 7 and 8. This is love. Love is God. Love one another. Because love is from God. And if you don't love, you don't know God. Yep. You don't know him. You don't even know him. That's tough. Notice the proactivity in Matthew chapter number 22. Notice how proactive it is to love one another. It's not about making people pay. Y'all see that? Oh, we like to make people pay, yeah? Mm-hmm. Come on, man. Don't act like that. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. I'm very forgiving. No, sir. Someone wrongs me? No, I leave it there. It's fine. There's no bitterness. No, sir. I don't do that. I live in a Christian home. Okay. You should drop your finger on the Bible more often. I'm guilty. I'm guilty. All the law and the prophets. Let's talk about the law and the prophets. The Old Testament is rife with it. Rife with it. I love it. Joshua chapter 2. I got to finish, but this is where I got to land. This is where it's got to end. Because this is awesome. Joshua chapter 2. Y'all know what happens in Joshua chapter 2? Joshua sends spies, because that's what he is, a great warrior. And he's sending spies into Jericho. Y'all happen to know how Jericho falls? I bet you do with your vacation Bible schools. Jericho is going to fall. But before he falls, he sends spies into the land. And as he sends spies into the land, he sends them in, and there's these two spies, and they're about to get caught by the warriors of Jericho. These sort of the police, if you will, of Jericho are looking for them, and they're about to bring them in, and they have to hide. Does anybody know where these two spies find solace and hiding at? They find it at the house of a woman. Not just anyone. She's fine. They find it at the house of Rahab the prostitute. Why on earth would they feel the need to tell us that this woman is a prostitute? More on that in a second. Joshua chapter 2, verses 12 through 14. She hides them. After she hides them, here's what happens. She hides them. The soldiers come and say, hey, Rahab the prostitute, because that's probably how they said it. Hey, Rahab the prostitute, where are these people that you're hiding? And oh, we're not hiding anybody that came. Then they left. It got dark in the gates, and they left. And they believed it, and they left. And then afterwards, the spies come out. They're talking to Rahab. Rahab said, here's what I want. Now check out what Rahab the prostitute asked for in return for hiding spies. She says, now then, please swear to me by the Lord that as I have dealt kindly with you, you will also deal kindly with my father's house. Give me a sure sign, verse 13, that you will save alive my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all who belong to them, and deliver our lives from death. And the men said to her, our life for yours, even to death. If you do not tell this business of ours, then when the Lord gives us this land, we will deal kindly and faithfully with you. Does anybody see what Rahab the prostitute got that most Christians miss? Do good to others as you would have them do to you. She hides them. She saves their lives. She has one request. Don't let us die. I didn't let you die. Don't let us die. And they said, it ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. Do you think God was happy with Rahab about that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know why I think that they told us it was Rahab the prostitute? Because it didn't come up, or it doesn't matter anywhere else. Because if something like prostitution that so many people would consider evil and mean and bad, if someone that people would look at and say, oh, she is the lowest of the low, if she can get it, there's no excuse that the rest of you can't.
That's right.
That's what God said.
Yep.
You got no excuse. Rahab got it. Rahab got it so much that in Hebrews chapter 11, the hall of faith with men and women that are so faithful to God, including Moses, in the hall of faith, Hebrews 11:31, why break from precedent? But by faith, Rahab the prostitute did not perish with those who were disobedient, because she had given a friendly friendly by faith? Whew, guilty. If she can get it, why can't we? It's not important because we don't make it important. Charles Spurgeon said, oh, that all men acted on it. And there would be no slavery, no war, no swearing, no striking, no lying, no robbing, but all would be justice and love. What a kingdom is this, which has such a law that we would be good to others, as we would have them be good to us. What a kingdom. Does anybody know about that kingdom? Mm-hmm. Is there such a kingdom? Yep. There is. Remember the sheep and the goats? Matthew 25:46. And these will go away to eternal punishment, but what about the righteous? Eternal life. There is a kingdom. It's called heaven. Here's the last verses I want to show you today, and then we're going to pray. James chapter 2. I love James. He brings it every time. You saw it already. If you know to do right, you don't do it, sin. James, he just doesn't care. He just says it, all right? Through the Holy Spirit, he says it. Here's what else he says. He says, hey, how many of you guys are Christians today? And we all say, yeah, we're Christians. And he says, okay, tell me about your works. And we say, well, I go to church. And? Well, I give money every now and then. And? It would not take long for you to not like James. It wouldn't. I believe that. But here's the deal. You cannot get to heaven based on how good you are. First and foremost. However, once you're on your way to heaven, there is an expectation. James chapter 2 is where we land. James 2, starting in verse number 14. What good is it, my brothers, if someone says he has faith, but he doesn't have works? Can that faith save? In verse 15, if a brother or sister is poorly clothed and lacking in daily food. Now, let me back up there for a second. In verse number 14, he says, what good is it if someone says he has faith but doesn't have works? Can that faith save him? You say, I thought you just said you were saved by faith. You are. But that faith, a faith that doesn't have works. Now, that's not saving faith, because if you were saved by it, you would have works. Okay? He goes on, verse 15. If a brother or sister is poorly clothed and lacking in daily food. I love he says poorly clothed. When we think about clothing people, we think, well, if they're running around naked, they can have a shirt. No, wait a minute. Poorly clothed. They need better clothing. Okay? I'm not talking from a fashion sense, all right? In that way, I need better clothing too. But, they poorly clothed. We got to clothe them. Verse 16. If one of you says to them, go in peace, be warmed and filled. That sound like Christianity, Mm-hmm. Somebody's hurting. They're hungry. They need more clothes. Can't pay their bills. They're struggling. And what do we say? Well, I just sure hope it all works out well for you. Mm-hmm. I got you. What do you got me with? Well, hoping. Praying, I guess. Well, wait a minute. Are you a prayer warrior about it, or are you just saying you're praying? Are you just saying it? Verse number 16 continues, without giving them the things for the body, what good is that? Verse 17, so also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. But someone's going to say, you have faith, I have works. Show me your faith apart from your works, and I will show you my faith by my works. Verse 24 drops down. Check this out. It all comes together. You see that a person is justified by works and not by faith alone. And in the same way, was not also Rahab the prostitute justified by works when she received the messengers and sent them out by another way? For as the body apart from the spirit is dead, so also faith apart from works is dead. Whew! What does that tell me? That one day I will look at Rahab the prostitute in heaven and say, are you Rahab the prostitute, and why is that your middle name? Here's the deal. Church, by faith it all went down. Today you either have faith and you're saying, yeah, I got pretty faith over here, or your faith is on the very front lines and you are struggling. And it is hard, and it is not fun, and it's muddy, and it's nasty, and it's messy, and it's hard to love people that are unlovable, but you make sure that you're talking to the people that are unlovable. Either your faith is that, or your faith is dead. Would you bow your head and close your eyes? No one looking around.